Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Readware Addicts Summit. I hope you found all the sessions that we have conducted till now both informative and enjoyable. So, this session is about revenue opportunities for publishers, specifically from an advertising perspective. So, we have a very esteemed panel of participants today. We have a very nice cross section of the marketing fraternity, the media agency, and the media fraternity. And we also have an expert from Google who will give us a perspective on the larger scheme of things and how things are hopefully going to churn out for us. But in the first section, I will present a few slides to you just to set up this conversation and this discussion. The next few slides are basically data points that we have sourced from various syndicated studies. If you're keen to know the sources, please write into us. I'd be more than happy to share with you. But the idea is just to put into context where we were before the lockdown happened, where we are today, and what are the various syndicated studies and experts saying about how 2021 will turn out. So that we can reflect on these data points in our discussion moving forward. So with that, let me start. We will quickly move into the first slide. So the overall advertising spend scenario in 2020 has changed, no surprise. The overall industry has shown a dip of around 8%, but digital seems to be carrying most of the responsibility. It is not just stagnant, but it is growing, even though it hasn't been a large growth, trying to compensate for the traditional media. Within digital, the real growth block we see is connected TV and digital video. Even though the base is quite small as of right now, we will see in the next few slides, the following slides, that it's a substantial opportunity for all us publishers as well as advertisers. While the entire market is supposed to be growing by around 5.5% year on year, come to 2021, this year hasn't been bad either. In December of 1920, some very strong indicators was that we will be hitting 19,000 crores, post which there was a bit of a cynicism given that we had a lockdown of almost 6 months. But I'm very happy to inform you that all syndicated sources are currently showcasing that we will meet, the overall target of around 19 to 20,000 crores for digital advertising spends in the year 2020. A major part of this confidence and this bullishness comes from the fact that the overall engagement of consumers with digital media has grown up significantly because of the lockdown. We can see in the top line, the red line, a growth of around 10% in engagement with the consumers, the total time spent having grown up. And as you can see, the surge had happened from March end to around April. That's when the lockdown started. And even though the line is currently given the data ending at around July, August, our personal experience at Readware has been that around this time, with the festive surge happening, the marketers have been very bullish, and we can only see this line going up further. This slide reflects most of the engagement that you saw in the previous slide comes from CTV, which is basically digital video and OTT platforms. As you can see, beginning of the year, the total number of households that were consuming CTV, and so the dark blue line is OTT, and whereas the light blue line is digital video. You can clearly see a surge around March-April period, and in a short span of around 5 to 6 months, the overall consumption in terms of number of households has grown 500%, which is a huge opportunity for both marketers as well as advertisers and publishers. Moving forward, if you look at this slide, it's not really a big surprise to us. Most traditional media platforms like linear TV, outdoor terrestrial radio, which is AM, FM, and specifically print, have seen a huge slump. But we see a sort of a reciprocal growth in everything digital. So digital video and connected TV, which is primarily any smart TV that's connected to internet. So it could be a smart TV, it could be Apple TV, it could be Roku, it could be Xbox. So anything that delivers content from the internet has seen a substantial growth. Of course, the lion's share still goes to social media and paid search, but we will delve on social media in the next few slides. The only slight dip in terms of digital media has been in audio and in outdoor. Needless to say, both are associated with commute, personal commute, and travel plans. And since post the COVID scare, people have been a little skeptical of stepping out, it reflects the same. But the good part is 2021 is the year of digital advertising. If I was to quote a couple of facts and a few sources, so there's a very recent KPMG study on the financial year 21, and it shows that this year digital advertising will actually not just equal but surpass the television spends in India. And the overall projected growth for digital advertising is almost 31% compared to 2020, so 31% on 19,000 crores is quite a promising figure that we have to look forward to. Another small data point that we have is that certain studies have mentioned that India will become 1 billion digital users by 2030, but because of this little blip that we have had in the last few months, that has been preponed by a couple of years. So by 2028, India would be 1 billion digital users strong. That's a huge opportunity. I did mention about social media, and of course that brings us to user-generated content. A lot of advertisers and marketers have utilized it and leveraged it to a large extent. But given the fact that the current environment has a certain amount of negativity involved, a certain amount of skepticism involved, there are a few, data points which reflect about the confidence of marketers when it comes to social media and UGC per se. If I may share the same with you. So this is a slide that specifically talks about the concern that marketers have with user-generated content. If you can look at the numbers there, almost 90% of most marketers and advertisers feel that given the current market environment, the current COVID scare, they might not be fully confident of placing their brands in a slightly unsafe environment. So 46% of buyers, these are media buyers, are currently, because of this slight uncertainty, a little scared of making their digital media plans. They are probably waiting for a certain amount of surety, a certain amount of safety that comes into the environment before they move forward. So just to give you a context, a very substantial percentage, which is 42%, have temporarily paused social media, where a good 33% people are planning to cancel their social media placement for the time being. How long will they pause? Again, very interesting. Nobody has a long-term perspective or a plan. These are very, uncertain times. So they are waiting and watching. The good news is the max that people are saying that they will keep it back on hold is till end of 2020. Come 21, they will open up the planning process all over again. So this will help the entire digital fraternity. But even in the short term, for display opportunities and advertising, the scope is there, and we need to be able to prospect that. I will end this short session with hopefully a positive and optimistic slide. The market is looking up. So if I was to look at the data points on this slide, I've kept it to a bare minimum 4. So one, data point is that overall in tier 2 and tier 3 cities in the last few months, the overall online payments has grown up by 40%. So people are transacting, not just consuming communication, not just engaging with the brands, but actual sales are going up by 40%. That's an incredible number, especially given that we're talking tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And there has been a 7% growth in overall digital advertising spends. Because of the first data point where there is consumer confidence coming back into the market, marketers are also getting more and more confident. And as compared to 2019, we are seeing almost a 1/3 jump in 2020, despite the setback that we have had in the last 1 year. The last part of it is something that we'll delve into in the next few conversations, and a very important part of it is that in this lockdown, the overall consumption, as I mentioned, digital consumption has grown up by around 10%, and a lion's share of that, 80% of the overall growth comes from OTT platforms and from CTV. So given the fact that consumers find rich media, video advertising far more engaging for the brand, here is an opportunity that we are looking forward to tap into. Moving forward, let me just turn to my guests.
Hi guys, my name is Rajeev. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Mediology Software. I hope the data that we have just shared with you gives you some food for thought. To discuss this further, we have a very esteemed panel today with us, and I take a lot of joy and a lot of pride in introducing them. Today we have with us Vanita Keswani. Vanita is the CEO of Madison Sigma. She has been named as one of the top 50 most influential people in media in India today, and not just today, but she has been for a while now. She has been instrumental in driving this entire digital perspective as far as the marketing fraternity goes, and she's also been very, very instrumental and influential in combining the traditional TV and the digital video part of it together. So we really look forward to hearing from heading marketing, communication, and media strategy for in terms of planning, strategic planning, advertising strategy, as well as the media part of the business for key brands. The Google side, both for agency as well as for client brands. So, ladies and gentlemen, I take a lot of pride in introducing you. Thank you so much for sparing time for us.
Thank you.
And let's start with Sujata, if I may. Sujata, I shared. Share your perspective on advertising.
Rajeev, if I may request you, because your network is breaking, people are not able to hear. Could you just post your question on the chat box so that I can read for the audience and answer that? If you're able to hear me.
Sure. Yeah, I'm it as we speak.
You can try speaking as well.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better, much better.
Okay, so the question was, we can't have data points without a Google perspective. So So from where you stand, your experience in terms of where we are post the COVID lockdown, and where do you see the marketing and the advertising fraternity going in 2021?
Thank you, Rajeev. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me for this session. It's pretty interesting, and I always love to kind of share insights with the larger group. And Vanita, great to see you after many years.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. It feels like the old days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rajiv, back to your question, I would love to break down into two parts. I call it the two C's. One is consumer and one is content. If you look at pandemic is something that hit us, which was the first for reset. We never ever experienced that as a mankind. We are going to go through or experience something so drastic in our life. But yes, it has happened, and it has given us a whole new learning in our ecosystem. So I could say that we are currently in the middle of a new wave of digitization. There are distinctly two types of internet users that we see today. One is early internet users, those are who are city dwelling, who are staying in city, who speak in English, have been online for some time now, and carry smartphones. Second is, are you able to see me, all of you?
Yes, yes, yes. We can hear and see you.
Yes, clearly, please.
Yeah. All right. So second is the new internet users, as Rajiv, I think in one of the slides you kind of talked through the tier two, tier three cities, and that is what the huge change that we are seeing from the smaller towns. So those are non-speaking, non-English speaking audience who have come online in last 12 months. They were never online until then. So when you look at and bifurcate these two consumer box, so Google did a lot of analysis. We spoke to more than 1,000 consumers, in India, and there are major seven different trends that is coming out of in this entire consumer journey. So I will just take you through. I'll just take a minute to kind of dig deeper a little into what are the seven trends, and then I'll move on to content. I do believe that if we are following, and if the two C's, which is consumer and the content, are moving in the right direction and the same direction, advertising dollar will just follow just like that, and in digital ecosystem will grow. So those seven trends are, first of all, and the foremost important trend that has come out between both the segments of the people are that proud to be desi. We now what we have realized that we thrive in our own language, we thrive in our the language that we speak, and we don't mind sharing the same with the world. So, and that has given a huge boon to vernacular world. So when you look at the YouTube consumption pattern, or even on television, like television south has been a very big portion, but even on YouTube, other than English and Hindi, there are multiple languages people are consuming content. So they don't shy away from being desi, and they don't shy away from inheriting their own mother tongue that they may have. Second is my roots and my bhasha. Again, it's kind of linked to the first trend. We don't want to kind of move away that, okay, this is my country, this is my state, and this is my city, proud to stay there, and we don't mind speaking the same language, and that is where the consumers are moving. Third is watch her go independent every day. In today's world, I think the biggest change that the digital ecosystem is seeing is the women. We have independent women, like let's take an example, like when we moved into a complete lockdown situation in March, and pandemic hit our country also at the same time. Every kids had to do an online sessions, and mothers, people who were sitting at home and not working, initially they found it very challenging, but they actually learned from it. Today when you compare March versus today, we are already at the end of the year. Women have become liberal, they have become independent, they have become a smartphone consumption. Now today I think most of the online classes that kids have to go through, out of both the parents, I think mothers are the ones who are investing so much of time taking them on the online class. So they have become independent, they are shopping online, they are watching videos online. So I think that is one of the biggest trend that came out, is that independent every day. Again, fourth is balancing we and me. So while we are very ambitious, we are conscious about our work, and in spite of being in pandemic in a lockdown situation, I don't think our work life balance have been disrupted that much. But instead of being on the working along with that, we started appreciating our family, we started appreciating the family values. So other than focusing and concentrating on our own self, we are also wanting to spend time with family, and that is one of the biggest trend that has come out. again, entertainment for me and by me. Like, while I'm willing to see the entertainment, but I want to see the entertainment what resonates with me, what interest that I have, what kind of a content that I'm consuming, and 100% authentic. And that is a very important messaging for a brand or any advertisers. 100% authentic. And this is a time when consumers have kind of really looked up to the brand if you have connected with them emotionally. We have gone through a complete new world where many a times I've seen like clients and the consumers are very confused and didn't know what to do and didn't know for a few months what is the future ahead. But I think brands who manage to communicate with them emotionally and stay connected with them beyond their sales objective are the brands who are actually today leveraging a lot. So if you ask me from a consumer point of view, things are looking very bright. Digital is the next big wave that we can call it. Let me talk about the content. I'll just take 5 more minutes to kind of dig deeper into the content piece. Uh, India, now digital is no more second line or second stream in advertising world. Now digital has become the mainstream. So it's no more like, okay, let's plan for TV advertising and let's plan for print advertising, and we'll look at digital as last mode of, if we have monies left, then we will look at digital. I don't think that is a scenario now. And one light of hope and one good thing that would have come out pandemic and the lockdown is that digital became the main focus and the mainstream for the consumers as well as the content. Now, there are some numbers I'm going to talk you through. In terms of the internet users, monthly active users, we are at 650 million plus. And if you talk about smartphone users, we are at 500 million plus. These numbers are unheard of, and these numbers were the projected numbers for next 3 years. But because we've been at home, because we had no other choice but to connect to your world, consumer, family through online, that has really boomed the entire digital internet penetration and the smartphone users. Again, like what are the consumers doing online? They are not only, so while we know that there are more than 100 million plus smartphone users we had in 2018, but I think that has grown in terms of 4x. But what are they doing on smartphone? How are they consuming the content? I think content has become the next big piece. If I have to take a number, in like the projected number right now, we are at a 12 GB per month content consumption per user, which was 9 GB, I think, 3 years back. And the projection is that we will be 25 GB, per month per user consumption on internet. So I think they're consuming a lot of content, and world is looking very bright. I speak to, like, point of view, we do have a lot of data points. We talk about how world is looking different post COVID. We are still in the middle of the COVID, but I think the best thing that has come out of it is that even the advertisers or the consumers, all of them have realized the importance of the digital world. You cannot ignore digital today. And as I mentioned earlier, like, if you follow the two C's, the digital world will eventually evolve. Today, as a marketeer, they have understood that, okay, whatever they had learned so far has gone out of the window. They need to start afresh in terms of rejuggling their marketing budget or rejuggling their learnings on marketing. And that is the brightest spot for us in 2021 and going forward. We do see a lot of hope, and we do see a lot of traction and engagement on a digital ecosystem, and it is going to be much better than what it has been in 2019, 2018, before COVID. So that is what I would like to say. Rajeev, over to you.
Thanks so much, Sujata. It's always a pleasure to hear you out, because I started off with the data points, but it's a complete change in perspective in terms of what you shared, and it's very close to my heart. I've been a brand guy all my life, and the fact that digital has always been a sort of a stepchild of sorts, and we've always paid a lot of lip service in terms of we should be digital first. But yeah, the fact that we need to create communication for the consumer with a digital perspective is what I take away from what you said. And actually, it's a good entry point for me to bring Prashant in. Prashant, like I said, I've been partly guilty of this. I've headed a few brands, and we always said digital first, digital first. But today, post COVID, all marketers are now by default forced to relook at the concept of digital first. And as Sujata mentioned, it's not just about the media, but it's also about the content. We would love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, thanks, Rajeev. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me, Rajeev?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. And Rajeev, thanks for this introduction and setting the premise with all those slides. And I think Sujata has beautifully explained all the numbers and facts, why digital first is very important. Well, I would like to begin by sharing some facts and figures from the automobile customer journey point of view, and how customers have actually adopted to this digital world. It's actually a Google study only. So we may say 21 out of 26 touch points in the automobile customer journey are actually digital. So being present at all these 21 touch points is the need of the hour. And from the auto gear shift study this year, yeah, 650 million plus internet users are there today, and India added 100 million plus the 100 million plus the smartphone users in 2 years. And as far as the new car buyers are concerned, they rely heavily on the digital assets or the online resources which they find on the websites and the digital sphere. And 54% are ready to buy the car through web, and 53% said that they use that configurator for their personalization, and 95% people said that they uh, they research online before going to buy the car. And the YouTube has emerged as number 2 search engine for car buyers, and virtual realities videos will convince the people to buy without the test drive. So this is just the beginning, I think. An auto company is starting the book from home concept, and of course developing apps for customer convenience. WhatsApp chat this facility, the chatbot, virtual test drive, etc., are a part of the digital transformation. And this may also be termed or coined as a convenience marketing, because wherein you are keeping the consumers convenience as your utmost goal. So now coming to the topic, why digital first is the key to grow now. So there are, I will iterate upon 5 key reasons. See, first impressions last a lifetime, and one simple fact that is that the in the modern age, brand's opportunity to make a good first impression is happening in the digital sphere. Well, this is because Indians spend more than 8 to 10 hours each day interacting with the media devices, including television, radio, internet, desktop, laptop, computers, and the connected TV, connected devices. So, as a result, a brand that does not have a digital presence has a near zero chance of locating the new prospects and engaging the audiences, because they are not looking at the right place. Beyond the fact that consumers spend an extraordinary amount of time with the digital devices, they are also using at an unprecedented rate to engage with brands which they like. In the days before the digital, a brand that wanted to connect with the prospects would put an ad in the newspaper, or invest in an out of home ads. But these days consumers use the digital media to actively seek out brands, and this has shifted the control from the brand to the consumer, I think. And this is one of the major changes that has taken place in the world of consumer behavior since the advent of the internet and the explosion of the digital technology. Thanks to the websites, the apps, the blogs, reviews, and the testimonials and other forms of the online content, consumers now have the power to research everything they want to know about a product, service, or a brand, enough even to make a purchasing decision long before a brand is even aware that the prospects exist. So concluding the first point there, right, therefore by cultivating a digital brand through a digital first approach, you ensure that your brand will be visible when the prospects go looking, and guarantee that you don't miss any opportunity to engage and actually delight your audience. So second is well, digital brands enhance the customer experience. So another reason it's essential to have a digital first approach, to branding is that consumers expects brands to be very responsive these days on the digital platform. In fact, in some study I was reading, 60% people consider it a bad customer service, customer experience, if they don't get a response after reaching out to a brand on a social network. And around 84% people said they expect a response within 24 hours. So furthermore, if customers are using this platform, social platform like Facebook, Instas and all, to reach out to you for satisfaction or a resolution with the problem, and you don't respond quickly, half will never do the business with you again. But the social media and other digital channels offer more than an opportunity to perform necessary customer service functions, and I think as a chance, give a chance to communicate with your audience on a more human and I think a very very dynamic level. So the brand interactions of the traditional age were very static and one way. A prospect might never see you would might see your ad in the paper, but would not be able to engage with you via that particular channel. Right. However, today the brand interactions happen in real time, affording the brands and their audiences with opportunities for a two-way dialogues and a very meaningful exchanges. So in order to present a consistent image that's in line with your goals, it's important to have a digital first approach that focuses on the crystallizing your brand and taking the advantage of digital openings to enhance the customer service. Another thing, aside from being present where your prospects are, another reason it's important to focus on the digital first is because digital actually prioritizes the targeted marketing in a way that traditional marketing cannot. For example, before the digital was the primary channel for communication between brands and their audiences, some businesses used to send out physical communication to their prospects. One problem, however, was that all the communication were the same. So regardless of whether they are sent to an 85-year-old grandmother or a 19-year-old student. So by contrast, a company today, I think, can segment their communication list and create 100 different versions of the same marketing communication in order to personalize the content, offers, wording, and the images and more based on the factors like the demographics, buyer's journey stage, purchasing history, etc. And the targeted communications are far more effective because today's consumers expect the brand to personalize the marketing messages. When you approach your marketing and brand from the digital perspective, it puts the focus on the targeted message. So another benefit I would like to speak is of adopting a digital first approach to branding is that it makes you more flexible, which is integral in a world where technology and consumer behavior are changing at a dizzying pace. So take a look at how the mobile search impacted our digital marketing thing. For example, there was a time not long ago when the digital marketers didn't have to worry about how their website looked on the mobile device, because people simply didn't use the mobile devices for search. But today, however, nearly 85-90% people of the web searches are done from the smartphones and the tablets, and brands have had to change the way they actually design and develop their online real estate as a result. So if you don't have a website that is responsive, then your customers will bounce as soon as they land from a mobile device, and your website plays a huge role in your brand identity. So when you approach your brand's presence from a digital first strategy, you get to the rate of change, you get used to the rate of change, and this makes you more adaptable, flexible, and able to change as new technologies and the patterns as the new technologies and the patterns basically emerge. So in order to remain visible and relevant in a connected world where people spend more than half their days interacting with the digital devices, so brand must adopt digital first approach. So last but important, I think another reason that digital first is becoming so popular is that the digital world is very quick and fast. It can keep up with the changing needs, wants, and attitudes of the consumer. So this is more for the from the brand perspective, right? Creative concepts can be tested and tweaked in, I think, real time. If one message is not hitting the mark, it can be withdrawn, it can be reframed and redisseminated within a matter of days, if not hours. So I would just like to sum up by saying that if not now, then when? Brands must invest in the digital and make it the first medium of communication for all the reasons which I just shared, Sujata shared, you shared, Rajeev, and I'm sure you will see so much of digital transformation in future. So much of digital transformation to take place in future at a rapid pace. So the kids who are now 15, 20 years will get an opportunity to witness this phenomenal growth, this wave in the digital sphere, and much more than what we can witness in our professional lives. So if I wish I were a 20-year-old boy now, so I would have seen so much in my lifetime. So I just want to end my talk by sharing two lines from William Wordsworth. It says, "Bliss it was in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven." Thank you.
Thanks so much, Prashant. There was a lot of food for thought, and we're extremely grateful. I'll take this opportunity to, say thank you to Sujata as well. She has a hard stop, and she's very busy. I know, but Sujata, thank you so much, and hopefully, sometime in the near future, we can do this again for our, viewers.
Absolutely, Rajeev. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you, Vanita and Prashant. It was lovely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Sujata.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
So that gives me the opportunity to come to my, probably the most senior and guest on the panel today. And Vanita, thank you so much for being here. A lot of food for thought. You went through the slides, and needless to say, we want your insights on the way media today is evolving. Everybody knows it's, and I shared a few data points, it's digital media in the future, but there are two perspectives that I'd like your thoughts on. One is we shared a few slides on the fact that social media and UGC, given the negative environment, certain marketers are not very confident, and there has always been a sort of a slight leaning towards social media as against display media compared to the traditional media outlets that we have. And the second part being there's a very distinct movement towards digital video and connected TV. And we are fortunate at Readware to handle some of the larger brands like Amazon, and we are in touch with Netflix and so on and so forth. We have literally seen the growth of OTT and such digital video platforms in the recent past. So would love to hear your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, absolutely right, Rajeev. Yeah, thank you so much for having me over. And to start with, so I'll start with the CTV point that you said and the whole OTT space. So as a data point, as per the recent BCG report, I think over 80% of users in India have 3 or lesser video apps on their phone. So like 1 to 3 video apps on their phone. Video is really booming, and OTT is there and everything is there. I think what's interesting is that in a universe with the likes of Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Hotstar, all Balaji, all of that, they can all be streamed via broadband. So smart TVs necessarily don't need to feature, though of course they're being discounted and they're growing, but the numbers need not come from there. It could come from normal cable, and linear TVs via cables are still a device of choice, as we see in a lot of homes. Through that, people are, so getting into CTV. And so what happens is that as a point of view from advertising terms, yes, video is on the uprise, and that is it. In terms of the problems that we see as an agency and as from our brands, is that there's no way to tell what site of programs are being watched. The data aspect of targeting advertising, which Prashant made as a plus, becomes a concern on CTV, because CTV is like, okay, so I think YouTube started with TV screens, I don't know exactly, about a year and a half back probably. And Hotstar started some months back offering CTV targeting, CTV homes targeting. And also I believe Samsung is doing major, work across globally in terms of getting some form of data which can help us advertisers. But otherwise, that's the broad picture on the CTV piece. That of course it's a great platform, but it expands the universe, but I think the targetability is still restricted. Any questions on that one from audience or from the panel, or Rajeev from you, CTV? Anything else you want me to highlight that part?
So I think you made a very relevant point that most agencies and most marketers, they go back to data points, obviously, because they want some kind of a reference of how successful their campaign has been and whether they're being able to focus and target. But I remember, a while back, and I'm sure you would remember too, when digital as a media took off, before Google actually started providing all the data points, we had a sort of a challenge, and we fought against it. Yeah, and eventually it grew, and Google came in, and we had all the reference points. Now, do you think that again somebody like Google or a Facebook or one of the larger giants would bring in that data point, or because given the current circumstances, you cannot ignore digital anymore, and you have to build your own data points, which we at Readware are trying to do currently?
So first party data is really one of the top things that people are wanting to collect, because of this duopoly, so to say, of Google and Facebook. What's happening is the whole data system is like all dependent on them a lot of times, and I think there's so much debate on this whole piece on how much data is shared, right? So I think in India, that's globally also it's a concern. I think that's a good link that I'd like to bring from a digital transformation elements point of view. Like Prashant mentioned the word digital transformation. I think even when Rajeev, you spoke to me, you spoke about digital transformation. So what we've seen in COVID is, actually speaking, all the trends that we are seeing, right? They were trends that were already there, but they've just been spiraled greater. One of them being digital. And to that, I've just I really like the study that just recently got published, I think, on the Walk Toolkit, that happens every year. So 2021 Toolkit, it talks about what are the top elements of digital transformation, really. They spoke to some top CEOs and CMOs. Interestingly, I'll just read out the top 6 of them. The first on top of digital transformation is the customer experience. So, what is the customer experiencing? And I think both Sujata and Prashant talked about customer, and I think that's speaking from all CEOs, CMOs point of view, that what is the customer experiencing when they're seeing my brand on digital. Second is drawing insights from data, which is why I led it from there, because we were talking about how data is so critical. Third is e-com, right? So shoppability of advertising is so important today. And e-com has become so important, and I think that's here to stay. However much it may change a bit here and there, but I think it's here to stay. Then data organization and management within the company. So like I said, first party data. Automation of marketing processes, internally by organization, and restructuring your marketing team, and really changing the culture of the company with the digitization, so to say. So I think these are very interesting points that go beyond just media, and it just kind of proves that digital transformation is really huge. It's really affecting a lot of space overall. So that's that. Then what next had you asked me? You'd asked me about the UGC and the whole social piece, right, Rajeev?
Could I add one more question to this part?
Yes,
and whatever you're mentioning is giving me food for thought too. I asked Sujata about the data part of it, and she started off with the the more intangible part of communication, which is, in my experience, what brands are creating for traditional media, mostly for television, that gets adapted in some form or the other for digital currently. And she made a very interesting point that digital is consumed very differently. The point of connect is very different. Time of consumption is very different. So I understand that the media industry runs on the data part of it, but how do we see the brands and the marketers doing, given that digital is going to be first in the near future?
So some things that I'm noticing by brands who we handle is that certainly one is the regional aspect that she said. Even if for television we are not using too many regional creatives, a lot of clients are opening up to using more regional creatives. Making short format, break bumper, 10-seconders that work well on digital, especially for digital. And I think Google has taken this wonderful deck to all advertisers almost a year or two back, which talked about the vertical screen and the whole orientation of the advertising, what should come in the first 5 seconds and all of that. I think all marketers know that. But I think in day-to-day, still a lot of times we do see a lot of adaptation happening, to be fair. on the video part, but a lot of change still has happened in terms of questioning and talking about it and seeing whether that creative really works or not, and also prioritizing which creative for digital and which for TV. Like, so if you have 3 creatives, which one runs more on digital, within digital, which vertical, which platforms can we send it to? That happens particularly for CTV homes, because they're premium homes. If brands take a CTV advertising, it's recommended that be an HD quality creative, because that's obviously like almost like a substitute for HD homes on TV. Like, it's a premium audience. So those are some of the best practices. How much is being adopted? Still in the nascent stage, but like big brands are adopting and working on separate creatives a lot of times. Does that answer you?
Yes. The other question that I had was actually, when we speak to marketers, and my experience that when you mention digital advertising, somehow the first thought that comes to their head is social media. Display advertising plays a second role. And we shared some data points. Given the current environment, brand safety is a large issue, and it's out of most people's control. What is the way forward that you see in terms of, display coming up a little stronger, given that we are trying to innovate a lot more and not just go with the standard display formats, make it more dynamic, make it richer, make it more interactive?
Yeah, it all depends on the personality, as I see, of the display platform and what you offer. Like you rightly said, I think currently, as per Madison pitch estimates, we thought seen search, social, video, and display all in the range of 20 to 30. Highest being, of course, video with 30 plus. But otherwise, they are all in that 20 to 30 share of the digital pie. And e-com is as of now the lower one. But now that may have seen a shift. We still have to derive the numbers. An interesting thing that I also read recently from an art, again, I think it was in the Walk Report, if I'm not mistaken, the lady who heads the awards at Cannes Lions very interestingly talks about how lo-fi creative is also winning in the recession time. So it's all about, I'm linking it to your display question in a way that, it's not necessary always to be Shoshkill and those innovative formats on video. Of course, those are regular video takes it's always upbeat. Display is certainly not growing as much, but it all depends on how you tackle the personality of the platform and how you offer something innovative. I think you worked with us also for some brands where you offered something innovative and the brands do pick it up that way. But of course, the value-wise, it's not going to be as close as video, because video has certain, obvious benefits, and you can combine video planning. So I think most agencies like Madison do a TV plus or a TV digital combined reach frequency today, which is usually done on a video platform. We don't usually include. We call that a video plan, right? So I think that is the benefit that a video format derives. Yeah.
Thank you, Vanita. Prashant, the last question. I know I'm a little over time, but would love to hear from you. We are, representing the publisher community at Readware, and we have a lot of publishers on the forum right now who are viewing this content. You have a unique position today to launch a very large brand post-COVID in the Indian market. I think it's one of the very few brands which is coming in full force in this market in the current times. Would you have some kind of an expectation from the publishing community, from the media community, given that you just mentioned that you have a digital first strategy as far as advertising and media goes?
So see, we are in the nascent stage. We are still in the planning stage, but yes, I'm sure digital we cannot ignore, and the publishers and all will play a major role in our campaign when we launch. So I'm not able to comment much because still in the planning stage, and I am not able to speak much on the behalf of the organization, the plans and all. But yes, role of publishers and all will be key in hitting the market, because without them we cannot have a good I think presence, the good space in the media. So yes, I feel it will be very, very important for us. So we'll be in touch with them later. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's been, an hour, 5 minutes, and I didn't even realize that my questions are just starting to come to my head. It was wonderful to, have you on the panel, and you've given us a lot of food for thought. moving forward, hopefully we'll be able to do another similar such session to get a little more clarity on the role that the publisher side, us as agencies and influencers, and what the marketers want in the near future. Thank you once again for your participation. Hope to do this.
Rajeev, there's some questions that are coming up.
One question is there from Jitin
Okay,
Chaudhary.
Jitin has asked that, is it because of branding, not performance marketing? What is because of the growth, you mean? I think certainly one of the key, it is sad that, yes, brand building has taken a backseat overall, and performance is the reason for the growth that you see. Certainly, I mean, performance is the bigger part. Like I said, that it's all action-oriented advertising, and performance percent of spends in digital has gone up. But not all advertisers obviously are leaving brand building. So it's not like it is at the cost of. It's really to see how much is being hampered. So I think both are important, of course. But we know that in these recessionary times, performance becomes more key.
Yeah, I would like to add something. I think his question is when we talk about digital, it's all about performance and not the branding. But I can say of late, brands have started using this digital medium for the brand and the awareness to build TOMA, everything. Because earlier, gone are the days when we used to rely on TV print only to build the awareness. Now, digital medium is being used for the awareness part as well, and to build the brand. It's a good opportunity where we can collaborate with the users. We can have a contest. So yes, it is being used for the brand building also now. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for pointing out the questions. I somehow seem to have missed it. I would tend to agree with the both of you. Now the digital first, and today we can see very clearly digital is going to take over even traditional television. The key nuances of a brand from an emotional perspective is going to be communicated on digital. And yes, the performance matrix will change Nestle from CTRs and certain base level numbers to brand scores and brand love scores. So once again, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to do it soon again.
Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye. Stay safe.